Hey everybody, welcome to video 73. This is the final video lecture for our reproductive system unit. So today we're going to be spending it on pregnancy. So pregnancy, otherwise known as the gestation begins at fertilization, except for when we're talking about it in a clinical sense, which for the most part of this lecture we will, and is going to last until birth. Pregnancy lasts around 38 weeks, though again, from that clinical standpoint, it's going to last 40 weeks because sometimes it's very difficult to know exactly when fertilization would have occurred. And so you just go based on the last menses for the woman, which typically took place about 2 weeks before fertilization, which is a safe bet because we assume ovulation occurs on day 14. And so that's why, from a clinical standpoint, pregnancy lasts around 40 weeks. The gestation period can be divided up into 3 trimesters. We'll go over what's going on at each of the trimesters during this video. But you can see just these stages of fetal development. We'll cover them very briefly during this lecture. So about 10 days after fertilization, the blastocyst is going to implant into the uterine wall. And so we have implantation. The outer layer of cells of this blastocyst will eventually develop into what's known as the placenta, which is going to be responsible for anchoring the fetus to the uterus so that it is kept in one place. It's going to allow for exchange of nutrients and waste products between mother and baby. It's going to separate the blood of the mother and embryo. So while it does a good job of separating the blood between the two, some substances do move very easily across the placenta, including alcohol, which is why alcohol is a very big no-go during pregnancy. The inner mass of cells of that blastocyst will eventually become the amniotic sac and the rest of the offspring. Here you can see that placenta where it's going to sit here. So this is going to be on mom's side. This is going to be on baby's side here with that placenta in the middle that starts from that outer layer. That blastocyst, recall, is a hollow ball of cells. It does have a clump on one end, but the outer layer becomes the placenta. The inner mass becomes the amniotic sac and the offspring. So implantation, when that does occur, typically you will get a little bit of spotting, which can be confusing sometimes for some women. About 50 to 75% of blastocysts actually will fail to implant and end up being shed during menses, just as that normal ball of cells, and then they'll be shed because they didn't get any nutrients, and so they weren't able to properly survive. But upon implantation, human chorionic gonadotropin, or HCG, is going to be secreted, and it's going to tell this corpus luteum that it needs to stick around. It should not disintegrate in the ovary, if you recall going over the different stages of that cell as it goes through the ovary. And so the corpus luteum will survive. It's going to get larger, and it's going to secrete progesterone to help maintain the pregnancy. And typically by around week 2, there's enough human chorionic gonadotropin in your urine for an at-home urine test to be able to detect a positive pregnancy. And so that's where we get our pregnancy test, as we're testing the urine for the presence of that HCG. So here you can see some of the stages going from an unfertilized oocyte to being fertilized, going through mitosis, all the way to that blastocyst stage here, where that blastocyst is going to be implanting into the uterus. Another one here, taking a little bit closer look at implantation here. You have the outer layer that's going to be implanting and eventually become the placenta. When implantation does occur, the endometrium, which is just that innermost layer of the uterus, is going to grow over and surround the embryo to make sure that it is properly secured and won't be let go. And then so that baby is actually going to be growing within that endometrium, basically as it's being carried to term. So here you can see the typical site of implantation from an anterior view and from the side here, the lateral view. Typically, if an implantation does not occur in this area, that can lead to some complications, or actually sometimes the embryo will actually move out of a wrong location and try to move into the correct location. Kind of a weird deal how it's actually able to do that. So the first trimester is going to last from week 1 to week 13 of pregnancy, and this is where you're going to see the biggest changes in the offspring. You're going to go from zygote to morula to blastocyst to embryo, all during the first 8 weeks, and then finally into a fetus from week 9 to week 39. And so you're going through all these different stages all during the first trimester. There's going to be 3 layers of cells that are going to develop. Each of them is going to be responsible for different structures. You're going to get the endoderm, which is going to eventually give rise to your gastrointestinal tract, your lungs, your bladder, your pituitary gland, and your thyroid, among other things. The ectoderm is going to eventually become the epidermis, the facial bones, the brain and spinal cord, and the head muscles. And the mesoderm is going to become your circulatory system, kidneys, gonads, muscles, as well as most of your bones. Recall, endo is just going to be the innermost layer, ecto is the outermost layer, and meso is going to be that middle layer. So if you're picturing these here, again, as I mentioned in previous videos, we don't get a whole lot into histology and tissue development in here. So we're just going to stick with these terms. During the first trimester, everything is all about development. There's very little growth happening here because by week 5, that embryo is only going to be about 3/8 of an inch long, so less than a half an inch, but it will have a rudimentary but functioning heart. You'll have eyes and limb buds visible, so you'll see kind of the areas where the limbs are starting to sprout from the torso. When it becomes 3 inches long, you're going to get facial features, and gender will be discernible by the end of the first trimester, although typically most parents don't find out until about week 20. And here you can see this first trimester broken up. Some different things here. Pregnancy starts with menses, not the fertilization of an egg. It's just easier to keep track of. Easier to keep track of that day or that way. See if there's anything here that's important. One thing here on week 8, it says doctors typically book pregnancy test appointments due to the high rate of miscarriage. The first trimester is when pretty much all miscarriages happen. And so it can be a very scary time for new parents here because if your goal is to get through that first trimester, because after you get through the first trimester, your chances of a miscarriage are significantly lower, and so you feel a little bit better about telling people and not having to worry about telling them and then miscarrying. The second and third trimester are going to last from week 14 to week 39. So it's going to be the rest of gestation. By about week 17, all organ systems should be complete, and the focus is going to be on growth and not as much on development. So basically, during the first trimester, we make all the structures, and then during the second and third trimester, they grow to the size that they need to be for an offspring. The lungs are one of the last organs that are going to develop, obviously, because the fetus isn't breathing air while it is still in utero. And oftentimes when you have very premature babies, preemies are going to really struggle with breathing. Typically, they're going to be on oxygen tubes or all sorts of stuff because those lungs haven't fully developed, and so they needed a little bit more time. At term, so that means when the baby is ready to be delivered, that uterus is going to be very, very large. And in fact, it can be so large that it presses up into the liver on the upper right-hand quadrant. And so that some women do report difficulties in breathing, especially taking deep breaths, because that uterus is pushing on the liver, which is in turn pushing on the diaphragm, which obviously is what you need to be able to breathe. Here you can see they start chunking weeks together because you don't have really organs necessarily developing quite like you do in the first trimester. Everything is more so focused on growth. During birth, or otherwise known as parturition, you're going to have signals being sent that the uterus is ready to deliver. It's going to start becoming irritable, and you're going to start having muscular contractions begin. The process of parturition is going to consist of 3 phases, and we'll go over those 3 phases here. But when contractions occur, the amniotic sac is going to rupture, and when that amniotic sac ruptures, that is considered when the water breaks, because with the rupture of that sac, there's a lot of amniotic fluid associated inside of that, and so that's what you're going to have that signals labor has begun. So stage 1 of labor is when your contractions begin, and it's going to be the process where the cervix is going to be dilating to 10 centimeters. Now remember, the cervix is the narrow part of the uterus, and so this can take a very long time. In fact, dilation could take anywhere between 6 and 24 hours. During stage 2, the baby is going to be born, and so this one is actually a very short phase, typically a few minutes to an hour, because the cervix is dilated large enough to be able to allow that baby to exit. And then during stage 3, you're going to get the expulsion of the placenta, typically about 15 minutes after the birth of the baby. And so stage 2 and stage 3 are very, very short compared to stage 1. If a normal vaginal delivery is not possible, sometimes a cesarean section can be used. And so with a cesarean section, you're going to get a 4 to 6 inch incision made just below the pant line. So you think where your belt typically sits, it's just the incision is made just below there. The newborn is then going to be delivered through that incision. That incision does cut through the abdominal and the uterine wall, which can make recovery take a little bit longer depending on how fast things heal. Here you can see the cesarean section that took place right here. Hopefully you can see the scar tissue that's built up there. But it's called a cesarean section because it's kind of shaped like a C, is what I've been told. I have never actually verified that story. Okay. Also associated with birth, obviously, here in Minden, we get a lot of twins. And so multiple births is going to be more than one offspring being born from the same pregnancy. Typically, these offspring are going to be born prematurely and thus are at an increased risk of complications. Usually what I tell people is mama can hold about 8 to 10 pounds worth of baby. And so if you have 2 babies, they are typically born at about 4 to 5 pounds each. And so they're much smaller, and they have other issues that come associated with that. We actually see multiple births a lot in people that use IVF as well as fertility enhancing drugs. For couples that maybe are struggling to get pregnant, and so they consult a doctor and they use IVF or these drugs, and then all of a sudden the drugs or the IVF works very, very well, and they end up having twins or triplets or different things like that. Okay, so that is the process of pregnancy as well as carrying it on through birth. Obviously, I'm not going to play a video of birth taking place here. That would kind of take you by surprise, I felt like, in this. So if you have any questions on gestation or during birth, make sure you're asking questions in class.